What is going on, guys? Rewinds here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys my review for Boruto Manga Chapter 70. This was a pretty eventful chapter that had a lot of dialogue, so I feel like they did reveal a lot of things in this chapter and went in depth in a few things as well that I thought was pretty nice. So let's talk about how this chapter kicked off, and I'll let you know what I think of everything as we go through the events. So this chapter starts off with Ada considering Shikamaru's offer from the previous chapter, and as she's doing that, she activates her Senrigan. Meanwhile, Naruto arrives outside the lab door that they're at, and Shikamaru tells Naruto through Ino's jutsu not to destroy the expensive lock system there to get in, because he's only being left out right now to be protected from the enemy's jutsu, which is true. Shikamaru asked for Naruto and Sasuke as backup to begin with, and both of them could fall under Ada's jutsu and pretty much be rendered useless in this fight, and then Code could do something as well, because Code does still outpower them even without his limiters removed at the moment. Boruto and Sasuke then arrive by Naruto, but I believe Shikamaru does not know that Boruto is with Naruto and Sasuke, and even if he did, at this point of the story, he doesn't know that Boruto would be immune to Ada's technique, because Amado hasn't said anything up until this point of the chapter about that. So Ada ends up figuring out that Shikamaru warned, Naruto and Sasuke and the rest of them already through Ino's ability, so she caught on with that pretty quick, and as that happens, Amado explains the Senrigan to Shikamaru, pretty much how Ada can see the present events in different areas as well as past events, but luckily Ada can't hear them communicating through Ino's jutsu, so there's a little loophole around it that I feel like they could use later down the line too if Ada's ability becomes a threat again. Meanwhile, Shikamaru tells Ada to consider thinking about the offer still, and right then we cut over to Kawaki, who is in the hospital, and pretty much Sumire is trying to chat with him, and Amado ends up saying that, not Amado, what am I saying? Kawaki ends up saying that he needs karma, despite what Amado said beforehand, and what Amado has done with everything involving Kawaki and the karma, putting it on his hand without his permission. But Kawaki, in a way, is also grateful to have it back, because otherwise he thinks he wouldn't have been able to protect Naruto. And I feel like this is going to add, more to the whole story that's going to go down eventually between Kawaki and Boruto when it pertains to Naruto. Sumire does point out to Kawaki, though, that although, it's fine that Kawaki might be thinking like this, but she doesn't like it because she thinks that Amado may be hung up on Kawaki's karma for his own selfish purposes. So this alarms Kawaki a bit, and Kawaki now wants to go chat with Amado. And then right then we cut back over to the lab where Amado is now about to cave in to Code. Ada says right then, though, that they need to retreat since Kawaki is coming, and Shikamaru realizes that hey, he can get in the room through an air vent by shrinking himself using his new eye ability. So Kawaki doesn't even have to worry necessarily about the whole Ada's ability here, and that gets revealed to Shikamaru soon too. Actually, that's the next plot point. What happens is that Amado ends up revealing to Shikamaru that a blood relative and an Otsutsuki can actually combat Ada without being impacted by her ability. So, this gets me to wonder if it's not Boruto or Kawaki that takes down Ada, it does say blood relative. What if by some chance, some way, since Damon's a kid, what if somehow Damon is manipulated some point in a future arc to turn on Ada in some sort of way? It's just an idea that I thought popped in my head, and I thought that could be a little, interesting route to go about it if they don't want Boruto or Kawaki to end up being the ones to take out Ada down the line. Shikamaru is really mad, by the way, when he finds out all this info from Amado, because he didn't say so sooner. Because if he had, they could have used Kawaki and they could have used Boruto. Even though I still don't think Shikamaru knows Boruto's out there with Naruto and Sasuke at this moment. If he did know, there was a chance that he could have brought in Boruto to come in and potentially deal with them. And then what happens is that Amado reveals that he didn't say anything because he didn't want Kawaki to end up dying in this battle. He said he can't afford to have it happen. And he believes that if Shikamaru had known that Kawaki wouldn't have been affected and Kawaki could have taken him down, that he would have sacrificed Kawaki against Code in the hopes that Code and Kawaki would kill each other off. And Shikamaru is pretty mad about this assumption. But at the same time, they could have prevented so much more here, and now there's a bigger chance that Code could get his limiters removed at this point of the chapter just because Amado didn't want to reveal that. And I think that's a big thing because Amado is, not a guy who can really handle torture. And despite that, he still isn't, wanting to bring in Kawaki, who is a guy who could genuinely save his life right now. So in a way, it's kind of implying that Kawaki's life might be more important than his for some other ulterior purpose that Amado has. What that could be is something I feel like they're going to keep teasing for a while, and eventually they'll reveal it, but I don't think that's going to be happening necessarily anytime soon, especially with what happens next, which is Code ends up tossing Amado into a claw mark portal. So, but before that happens too, Amado does say that they'll have another chance at taking out Code and Ada, and that it wouldn't hurt for Boruto and Kawaki to get a bit more stronger first. I guess he is also a bit concerned that Kawaki would be in a 2-on-1 situation here, even though Shikamaru is right there as well. But I guess technically it makes sense because Shikamaru doesn't really stand a chance against Code. And even if he stood a chance against Ada's ability is, rendering him useless here. So I can understand his point of view a little bit too, but I personally don't trust Amado. I'm still waiting, month by month to see if they reveal anything of what's truly up with him. If he has some good ulterior motives or something bad, something really selfish, what could it be? If you have any theories on that, let me know in the comments below. And then Shikamaru ends up having Code and Ada in his shadow possession jutsu as they're trying to escape with Amado. But Delta ends up getting used by Ada to attack Shikamaru, and that ends up getting his shadow possession to be useless in that situation because he has to focus on dodging Delta's kick. And as Code is leaving, he tells Shikamaru that he just made his retribution list. So, I don't want to overlook this detail because it could be pretty important down the line. Maybe there's a chance, just maybe, just like they foreshadowed a chapter ago, that maybe we're going to get Sasuke's death down the line. Maybe this could be foreshadowing that Shikamaru might also be someone that goes. It's all possible too because we know the state of the Hidden Leaf Village, way later down the road when the post-time skip happens of Boruto and Kawaki. The village seems like it's destroyed. So a lot could happen between now and then, and it's definitely possible that maybe in an arc we get a Shikamaru death, maybe in another arc we get a Sasuke death. Maybe they'll both live, but there definitely is some foreshadowing here. But time will tell if they actually go and pull the trigger on the kill. Kawaki ends up arriving at the fight right as Code escapes, and he says that he was there to ask Amado something, and he did notice the claw mark, so he figured out, of course, that Code was indeed there. Then we cut over to probably my favorite panel shot of the manga, and this is of Damon, Ada, and Code pretty much standing over Amado while he's on the ground, with Damon saying, "Long time no see, old man." Or I think he said, "Long time no see, Amado." I think I've seen two translations of that, so I might have that a little mixed up, but the panel shot was pretty cool, probably my favorite panel of this chapter. Next, Amado tries to bargain with Code about if he released, Code's limiters, if he would let him live, but the bargaining doesn't seem to be working too much, and eventually Amado just caves in, and he says to remove Code's limiters, he says there's no dress code. That's apparently the command to remove the limiters, and now the limiters are removed off Code. We get like a little transformation scene, and Code now comes out with a new appearance where both his eyes and his hair look different. It's not like a dramatic change, but I do think, generally speaking, his design does look a bit better this way. At least that's my personal opinion. And to end off the chapter, Code says that it's a nice feeling that he can't lose to anyone anymore. And then he says that he's going to free Amado of his pain, and right then he takes one of his claw hands back and is about to deal like a finishing blow to Amado, and that's the cliffhanger for this month's chapter. So overall, I really enjoyed this chapter. I love this chapter because I feel like Boruto, especially the last 3 chapters, has done a great job balancing dialogue scenes between characters that could be foreshadowing things of the future, along with some nice little action scenes and solid plot progression. So I think Boruto has done a really good job with that. Personally, for me, I think Boruto's been on like a 6 or 7 chapter streak that I've enjoyed of chapters. I believe there was like chapter 62, 63. That was like the last time I was kind of like, this one's okay. And I mainly thought that because the whole chapter was, I think, Code versus Boruto before he had even transformed. So it was like a one-sided pummeling for the most part. And I wasn't too fond of the art at that time for those fights. And sometimes, the art is still depending on who's fighting. But recently, especially the last 5-6 months, they've done a really good job on the art end as well. So overall, I'm glad Boruto's trending, in my opinion, in the right direction. Hopefully this means that they'll end off this arc pretty strong, because I still think that this is going to be the final arc before the time skip. And we'll see if that stands true or not. One little prediction I do want to make for next month as well, that I feel like could shock everybody, or maybe in like 2 or 3 chapters perhaps could happen. But maybe we're going to get Code, Ada, and Damon leaving the area with Amado tied down or something, because Amado might end up bargaining his way out, I'm thinking, next chapter somehow, just to make himself a little more useful for a little bit. And I think right around then, there's a chance that before this time skip happens, maybe we'll see Kashi and Koji again. But whether he ends up killing Amado or saving him would be a whole nother story, so I guess we'll have to see. But overall, I'm going to give this chapter an 8.5 out of 10. I'd say 8 out of 10 at the lowest if I'm lowballing it, but I'm going to go with 8.5 out of 10. Great chapter. Hopefully they keep it up. That's my thoughts on this one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to leave a like on the video if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. Hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you guys are watching this video. I'm Rewinds, and I'm out.